Welcome back, everybody. I misspoke earlier, as it is actually another best of 5 for the finals. Getting pretty late in Korea. It's currently, I think, 1:20 a.m. for these guys. Haven't had a late Korean tournament in a while. But let's get into it. In the top left is Yellow Zerg. He is Solar. The bottom right says the Blue Protoss. It is Roots herO. Best of 5. I'm gonna make a tweet real quick. Aha, I guessed it correctly. Job well done. So again, love to get all those codes used up for the Matcherino before this is all said and done. That'd be great. It is a PvZ, and while herO is very notorious for his cheese in PvT and a little bit in PvP, as we saw, I would say it's not so much cheese in PvZ, although it really, matters what you think cheese is. But for me, cheese almost always includes the early game, early to mid game, not mid to late game, obviously. So it's like, for me, I really just say that he all-ins more than he cheeses in this matchup. But yeah, it really depends on what you think the word means. So that's going to be sometimes 2 base all-ins, sometimes a fake third dedicated attack, or however you want to really phrase it. And I think that just about covers a lot of the stuff he does. I mean, otherwise, it's not too wonky. It's not like he's constantly going for, like, disruptors or mass carrier or something like a little off from the regular composition. No, it's more to do with his builds, for sure. For Solar, we saw him beat down Gumiho, and we saw him beat... Oh, who was it? No, Zest, that's right. He did have a ZvP earlier on, and he looked very strong versus Zest. Had a couple of... he played very Ling-heavy. Ling Baneling, and just control the game really well. Yeah. And Zest made a couple mistakes here and there, for sure. But herO, imagine I played a bit differently than Zest was. Zest was going very quickly into double robo macro games, whereas herO might be a little more about the, about the adepts or about the oracles or whatever you want. But speaking of, adepts get in here, they get about maybe 4 workers looking for that last one. They want it. Not gonna get it. 4 would be pretty ideal, I think, for 2 adepts losing their lives. If he gets 3 but the 1 adept lives, then I think that's still worth it. Yeah. It's always so, such a small little thing, so it's always hard to say. Alright, Oracle now on the way. Overlord ducks in the tiniest little bit and sees the Stargate. Sees... Okay, I was gonna say that's an awfully early probe for 3rd base, but sees the probe. Sure, why not? Speed just kicked in. Was looking for the adept, and I guess he managed to get it, so... This one is brand new on clogging that hole. Very, very close in that timing. Why not attack the Stargate? Because if you can pop the Pulsar Beam and the Oracle, then it's energy you don't have to worry about attacking your drones. I think herO is both wanting to deal damage with the Oracle, but also worried about more Lings, so he does now finally really just beeline to the 3rd, maybe? There could already be, like, even 4 or 5 drones, and they would be freebies. Stops to clean up a creep tumor, not a bad use, and we'll get the Larva and 1 drone. 3rd base on the way, Phoenix following this up, so nothing really all-in-y coming out from your herO, which is a very, very typical macro game. 2nd Oracle is here, and the Queens were distracted, so while there are Spore Crawlers in the main base, in the Mineral Lines, rather, it's definitely worthwhile, especially if your micro's on point. Maybe not as clean cut as he was hoping, but still 8 drones go down pretty quickly. And the Oracle still live. Evolution Chamber finally on the way for Solar. As I said, he was doing a lot of Ling stuff versus Zest, so seeing +1 melee would not be too out of the ordinary. Solar also went for a Swarm Host composition in one of the games. Might throw that out again. Not really big dedication to Phoenixes. In fact, just the one. I thought I saw a second one on the way, but nope. Just the one. Militia Corps finally on the way. If Solar had committed to 30 Lings, this might have been dead because there was no Militia Corps, but he didn't. It's all Gucci. 2 Robos immediately following this up as well. This is not too far off from what Zest was doing, except Zest was a lot more conservative with his Oracle usage. Stasis traps primarily, and then nothing much else, honestly. So the fact that these have already gotten like 10 drone kills, 11 drone kills is better. Revelation does go down as well. Another thing that Zest was missing was scouting sometimes. That's going to give advanced notice to whether these adepts really should commit or not. They did not have Resident Glaives, so that council wasn't done. So it was going to be very questionable to utilize them. They saw a lack of Banelings, however, so like maybe he should have gone for it. Maybe. But it would be safer to just keep them alive. Double Robo is made, but currently getting the, I guess, the miscellaneous Robo, right? Like the Warp Prism, that's going to be very useful for attack, harassing, and Observer for coverage, but not quite into the chunky Immortal production yet. +1 on the way. Twilight Council finally as well. Like as a grand scheme of ZvPs, it's pretty late Twilight Council. And Solar going for the Infestation Pit. One game he went for Swarm Hosts. Second game, he went for Hive. Which one will it be here? Only time will tell. But the Phoenix is going to be able to see that, I think, just barely. Adept's still only threatening, never dedicating. And at this point in time, you would assume they had the mailings. There we go. So they really shouldn't dedicate. Phoenix saw the 4th base, but I don't think it dipped in deep enough to see the Infestation Pit. No, it did not. Now, Solar went Ultras against Zest, and I thought it was super questionable because Zest had like 8 Immortals, but Zest definitely messed up his micro. If Solar's thinking the same thing, like Ultras work, and herO has 8 Immortals, I doubt there's going to be that same situation where Lings surround them entirely and easy peasy take them out. Like, it was truly terrible of Zest to let that happen. And I just can't imagine it happens more than once amongst these Protoss pro gamers. But it's not. Not for Ultras, at least not for now. It is for Swarm Hosts. Swarm Hosts, Banelings, Lings, maybe a couple Queens. And herO, well, just going for the old standard composition because it does work against most things. Holds off on Storm a little bit more than maybe some other ways to play. I'd have been seeing much faster Storm for some Protosses. But just now, finish up at Templar Archives, has +1 in charge, about already done. 4th base is kind of matching Solar's, so that's pretty fast. What the hell is happening here? What am I... Oh, I'm on the Swarm Hosts. Damn! That range, though. That freaked me out. Okay. +2 already on the way for Solar, so he'll have a bit of an upgrade lead, and that will be important for the Baneling drops I'm sure he'll try to use later. Oracle's still just tagging whatever they possibly can. Looks a bit funny, really. Swarm Host, perfect position right here. You don't know they're coming, you're going to lose a bunch of tech structures real quick like. Templar Archives might go down, Twilight Council might go down, and while the Twilight Council really, it's already done its job, but in charge, if he kills both those tech structures, that's a long time to get back up to Templar Archives. He's going to get Templar Archives, but the Twilight Council is going to live just barely. So, it's only 1 tech gap. But still, he wanted Storm. Now he knows it's Swarm Host. I do believe that was his first reveal. And he might be really regretting not getting Storm. Certainly his Archons or his Templar feel very useless without that Storm. But, you know, Zest had Storm, and I was talking about how sometimes Storm is exactly what you want, and sometimes it's just like, why even bother? Because if the Locusts get on top of your units for like 1 second, the High Templars are almost for sure going to be the first things to die. And Locusts are... They're speedy enough, and they fly through the air, of course, and they have just enough health to be obnoxious. Like, 1 Storm doesn't quite get rid of all of them like you would want. So it's tricky, is my point. But Templar Archives, luckily already on the way, so while the Twilight Council is this time focus-fired, I think the Nexus will live, but no, it's not gonna live. Oh my god. Oh my god, they died as the Nexus died. Come on now. That's insane. I really hope herO just looks at it and is like, whatever, I don't need it. F you. Yet again, gotta remind you guys that these High Templars do not have Storms, so they really are useless. But what's funny is that, like, whether you're a Terran Zerg or another Protoss, I suppose, too, in a PvP, why not? If you see High Templars not morphing into Archons, and you don't have like Vipers or Ghosts, you just gotta assume they have Storm. Otherwise, you're taking way too great of a risk. So it's really funny that Solar might be just constantly wary, like, oh my god, he's like 8 Storms, and really he doesn't. I guess he did kill the Twilight Council or the Templar Archives while it was building, so maybe he knows there aren't, but this is like so suspicious. They still aren't moving into Archons. Now the Templar Archives goes down, so Storm is just never, ever, ever gonna happen. Gotcha. All the gateways go down at the front. His wall off is donezo. The Stargate died as well, so if he needs to rebuild those oracles, it's gonna be a very, very long time. Very slow warp in. So 6 probes go down. I mean, herO is not doing so badly defending his economy, but I'm worried he's being torn apart a little bit. His immortal count is so high. It's at 10. Jeez. And he already soaked up so many Banelings. Finally turning those full energy High Templars into Archons. They're finally going to be useful. He has the micro potential of the Warp Prism as well to help out a little bit. The Swarm Host, though, the Locusts were released on the top side, and they've already taken out quite a few of those Immortals, but more Archons coming from the back. Micro and the Immortals to save them. Locusts going to be on cooldown. This base is going down. And while herO might have lost his main, Solar loses his 4th and a handful of drones, and that was definitely a lot more economy to lose. Hive, Greater Spire wants to be on the way, but it might just be too late. herO still has that Warp Prism. He still has Immortals now with Barrier back up. And he still has a 4th base with 61 probes. Locusts are released. They do so much damage combined with these Lings with +2. They are absolutely wrecking even the Archons and, of course, the Immortals. And herO is forced to back off. In a blink of an eye, herO goes from almost an even supply, basically, to down 40. All of that in army. Corruptor's now on the way. Gonna have to deal with the Warp Prism. Broodlord's gonna follow shortly after. There are no more Banelings, so the charge lots are creating quite the hassle, but the Locusts are coming back up soon. 3 more seconds. They're ready to go. He's gonna target fire the hatchery. He gets it. Solar's back down his original 3 bases. Warp Prism lives. Mothership Core, what are you doing here? Recall, so she lives as well. Everything lives for the most part. Even that one Oracle that is so, so low. Solar. He was flooding with Lings. He's trying to get to Corruptors and Broodlords. Losing these 2 bases. He can barely replace this one, but he does. Saving up for this one as well. But he is mining out of his main and mining out his natural. So is herO, of course, but it might have been a very good snipe. Has a lot of Lings. A lot of Lings, but no Banelings. There are barely any Banelings, rather. So these charge lots still feel very effective. They don't have +3 weapons, they only have +2. And of course, no other upgrades to speak of. But a lot of Archons now being morphed in to help out. Stormhost once again looking for important tech structures. Getting the Robos wouldn't be bad at all. And Locusts are released, going straight for them. Now the Immortal count is at 6. So you don't want to lose the Robos. You don't. I mean, that's just a lot of money to even, like, rebuild them in the first place. But at least he has a decent Robo unit count. He has the Warp Prism. He has the Immortals. No observers, but I think that's the most important thing anyways. Is one Oracle is still alive, and it did cast Revelation on the Broodlords. He knows there's only 4 of them. So many Banelings collide into the charge lots, so the charges all disappear. But they did their job. The rest of the army of Solar is just so small, and these are not Blink Stalkers. The White Council died super early, but they are getting dangerously close to getting underneath the Broodlords. Locusts come back, and this is where herO has to move away. But already the fact that the Locust didn't collide into his army is bad news. Like, the Swarm Hosts, they've used their attack for the next, like, 30 seconds or something like that. He's going to recall, actually, as Lings were coming in from the backside. His natural Nexus and all the production over here has died to the Lings. And things are looking very desperate for herO. Every time he looks like he's getting momentum, the Swarm Host will come back and barely have the Locust ready to go. My voice is really starting to hurt. I fear that with the amount of free units available for Solar, plus the cheap Ling reinforcements that are well upgraded with Adrenal Glands and +2, I fear that herO, despite having, you know, Archons and Charge Lots, just won't have enough. Desperately trying to get Blink now from a Twilight Council he rebuilt. The thing about looking at the supply when it comes to Swarm Hosts is that if you have 8 Swarm Hosts and they don't have their Locust, there's a lot of dead supply there. So, it's always tricky. Getting some really nice damage on those Swarm Hosts, kills like 4 of them right off the bat. Mass Foes on Overcharge helps take care of the Locust as well. And with only 3 left over, that's not... Oh, 4. 4, one was hiding. With 4 left over, that's really not as terrible Locust damage as you would expect. And that instantly dropped Solar's army supply. Overall supply, rather. Along with the Banelings he just sacrificed and the drones that he lost. 15 went down at this base. The base itself did not. But that's a pretty important run by. Blink is almost done. 6 more Stalkers were warped in. Not here on the front lines, but there might be enough. If there weren't Banelings and Lings, I think the Stalkers would blink forward. And there they go. Only 4 Broodlords. The Lings are well upgraded, but they're going with a lot of Archons. The Immortals are still alive, and the Locusts, well, before, they were just barely holding on. They couldn't help when there was only like 8 of the Locusts. GG. herO does end up taking that game. Yeah, alright then. Yeah, I'm starting to get my effective solo casting is starting to hit me, so I'm gonna take a 2-minute break. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll get back. It's game number 2. Hello, everybody. It is game number 2 on Newkirk Precinct. In the bottom left is the yellow Zerg. It is Solar. In the bottom right is the blue Protoss. It is herO. That was a very back and forth game. A lot of economy getting torn apart, getting scrappy, tech structures missing for a long time. Swarm hosts both looking super overpowered and super underpowered. It was wonky. But herO perseveres where Zest could not, and a lot of that had to do with his much faster and much more stable 4th, and his economic damage done to Solar. Not only was his 4th stable, but Solar's 4th and 5th was unstable. Constantly attacked in. And, as I said, like, Swarm was kind of looked both OP and underpowered at the same time in that game, different points in time. That really is kind of the problem. I mean, there's multiple problems with why Swarm hosts are never going to be the staple in StarCraft 2. Like, they're very good against mech, and they're good against Protoss. We see Solar experimenting more, but they're not quite the staple, right? There's also reasons for that, but one of the reasons is definitely that if they're on cooldown, you are at a severe loss of army supply. I mean, I think roaches inflate army supply. I mean, what about Swarm hosts without locusts? So, yeah. I'm not sure if Solar's really going to try that again. He went for it once in the last ZvP we saw of him, and then went into Ultras after. In the second game. So maybe that's what he's thinking here. Who knows? It is Newkirk Precinct, so I'm a little bit more worried about what herO's going to do. herO really just macroed that last game. A little bit of prodding and poking and Oracle harassment and Adepts kind of faking a shade and stuff like that. But I feel like Newkirk Precinct has a lot more power to it for the Protoss ability to scare the Zerg than Belshir did. Which, you know, 3rd to 3rd, if Solar took this as his 3rd, is like super close to each other. And even then, eventually herO will take the 3rd maybe here, and Solar will take the 4th maybe here. We see a lot more games, I think, where the other expansions are going to the top positions, but point is, I feel like I see a lot more Resident Glaives attacks on this map that work than the other maps in the ladder map pool, which is different now. This is on the old map pool, I suppose. It's hard to remember that. Yep. These Adepts last game managed to get 3 drones and live, or 1 lived. This time 2 and 1 lives. Okay. Stargate on the way for herO once again. pretty normal. Thank you to Amazonix for the 15-month resub. Hey guys. herO for the 7-month Prime resub. And I already got Lieutenant's LT pilot, so all caught up. And of course, thank you for everyone who has donated bits, which is... Everyone is like 3 people. But still, appreciated. Twilight Council is on the way immediately after that Stargate. You think back to that last game, that Twilight Council was so late. It was like 8.5 minutes into a ZvP. Pretty weird. So, Phoenix is going to be able to shoo away this Overlord, so we won't be able to tell if that's going to be like, you know, followed up by 8 gateways or not. And the Adepts are going to distract otherwise. Just 4 of them. Kind of the number you don't expect. It's either 2 in the early game or like 8+ in the mid game. To have 4 somewhere in between is rightfully confusing Solar, and he's not prepared for it. They are paired up with 1 Oracle, so again, it's usually like 8 Adepts and 2 Oracles or something like that, right? So it's a very weird timing and weird set of units. It even kills the Spore Crawler. You don't see that too often. And might even kill a Queen here. This is such a weird thing for Solar to have to deal with. Finally, the Lings pop out and help, and finally this will be taken care of, but I'm guessing that really messed up Solar's flow, and it definitely killed more than it was supposed to. 3rd base is on the way. Mothership Core finally on the way as well. Solar has a handful of Lings, but not enough of a handful. Come on, where are you? And I think that 3rd base is going to live with 4 more Adepts. Resident Enclave is about halfway done. +1 finally on the way for Solar, like in his Lings. Things taking out more Overlords. Already got 1. Robo does follow the Resident Enclaves up, but here's where the trick is, I think. It's that it's not a second Robo. You think back to all the games we've seen already, and it's always been followed by a second Robo, so no second Robo. I'm gonna guess no gases at the 3rd base either, and a lot of gateways. So a bit later of an all-in, and powered off the back of a partial 3rd base, so it's always hard to say, like, all-in. But it's only Adepts. And if they don't work, then it's tough macroing out of it. These Adepts probably want to live more than they want to trade, as this is going to be getting to basically a point of so many Adepts, you can't even deal with me. But looks like he is going to trade. Queen goes down. Lings don't have the +1 quite yet, but the Banelings do finally collide, and that was taken care of, so he does trade them out. Maybe not dedicated with them would be a little suspicious in itself. But, yeah, no gases, no second Robo. Robo really only going to be used for that Warp Prism. herO constantly scouting to see if Solar is prepared for what's coming. Solar not really doing the same. He saw 3rd base. He saw what normal looked like up until a point, and that's it. Then his Overlords got killed, and they didn't bother scouting again. So that Ling finally sees how many Depths are on the way over. Warp Prism included, and he's got to get a lot of Lings, a lot of Banelings. I don't know why this 4th base is still on the way. He's got to fix that. That's going to be like, I don't know if it's worth 300 minerals. I was going to say, there we go. There are no Banelings. No, there's 2 Banelings. A lot more on the way. They do finally finish up. That's going to be so many Adepts. They're a little bit pre-split already, and they're going to be shading every which way, confusing Solar. They shade to the north. He goes to the north. It's actually Adept staying in the south. They're split. They soak up a lot of those Banelings. Only 4 more left over. Queen trying to help out as well, but that Warp Prism's nowhere near for them to target fire. And I think this attack's going to work. You can't really flood with Lings. You either got to already have a surround on it, or you got to have Banelings. GG. herO takes a 2-0 lead. I don't know how you guys got on the conversation of aliens. I'd like to see how that dragged itself back up in here, but I'm gonna go to a break just to give my voice a rest. See you in a bit. This could be the last game in the series, and now I really mean that. In the bottom left is the Blue Protoss. It is the Roots player herO. The top right with the early pool, it is the Yellow Zerg Solar. 12 pull coming out on Cactus Valley. There are so many things that make this interesting and potentially the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. It's cross spawn, so unfortunately no easy scout to the Overlords for Solar and no quick reinforcements for him either. But herO might never scout this is coming. On top of that, Cactus Valley has a small wall off, so even if he doesn't scout that it's incoming, he might scout it just barely in time to fit in one last pylon, and that would wall you off. But it's not a natural wall off. The Nexus first with a wall off on the front and the main ramp. It's not a gas follow-up either. It is just the Lings. If the Lings were able to kill a pylon that was morphing down here and stop the gateway from producing, then that would be game over anyways. But since it's up here, and a probe is going to have, like, you know, advanced knowledge, the worst thing about this attack might be, in fact, losing the Nexus. I'll wait and see. Thank you to Ergertots for the Twitch Prime sub. New sub, hype. Only one little spot for this. He builds a Zealot, good thing too. Now he's definitely going to finish the Zealot as he sees the Lings run in. This pylon won't, I mean, it will supply block herO. No, it won't. The Nexus finishes up. But the point is, Zealot's already on the way, so it doesn't matter. But that Nexus might just go down. He's going to actually try and fit a probe out of it. That's funny. He could pull the probes, try and save it. That's exactly what he's going to do. The Zealot's going to pop out to help too. Speedlings are not following this up. Only a couple more Lings come in to help. If the micro goes well, if he loses less than like 8 probes, it is totally worth it. Oh my god, how is he not losing any probes? What? He lost 1 probe? Are you serious? I was expecting the game heart trigger to happen at any time. Holy shit. Okay, well that puts herO in a really good position. He's up 6 workers. He doesn't have to worry about further reinforcements, although he doesn't quite know that. He might be guessing at this point. And Solar just has to drone and catch up on economy. I cannot believe he only lost 1 probe. I would have to look at that again and see why that even was. Because he wasn't individually microing the probes, he was moving them slightly all together, and it was like, what? I don't know, man. Well, it's not really a tap out, honestly. Like, if a pylon dies and you can't produce a Zealot, that's a tap out no matter what, and it sucks for the Protoss. But for the Zerg player, even if they don't kill the Nexus, it's hard to just tap out and say, I guess I'm done with, because your economy isn't looking too bad to start off with in comparison, but really it is going to in a while. So you just gotta try and play it through and hope they make a mistake, hope they're a little overzealous, maybe in either finishing the game or in expanding. See the massive spikes every which way. So slaps down 2 gases, gets enough gas to go for a Lair and Roach Warren. The Zealot is not just attempting to make Solar build Lings, it's also getting a Scout. And that's really important. It's obviously something that Solar wasn't expecting to see running across the map. And it did see the Lair, and it did see the Roach Warren. So this could still be for a macro game. But now herO will be more aware of the potential for a Nidus. So he is going to start placing pylons around the map. Very nicely done. And because Solar went for Lair and Roach Warren, he knows that his 3rd base is not going to be under attack anytime soon. There's not going to be Speedlings right on top of it. Thank you to Daj Master for the 6-month resub. Ace DK. Ace Donkey Kong. 3rd Nexus is done. Nidus Room is in fact on the way. It is on the way. Oh, it's building. I was so confused. Okay. The Nidus is on the way, but not on herO's side of the map quite yet. Overlord is killed. Overlord over here is probably going to try and be murdered as well. But it's going to be able to build at least 1 Nidus Room before it dies. Solar's running out of options, though, if this gets taken down by sentries. First of all, good job, sentries. Stick on machines. And second of all, bad news for Solar. There he goes. He throws down a Nidus Swarm, and it is scouted immediately. This Overseer is going to die, so no follow-up. If he retreats, that is. If he stays around, obviously there'll be a second Nidus Swarm. Queens pop out. They do have quite a few transfuses. The Mothership Core, well, it was targeted, but it doesn't matter. Solar taps out. And herO 3 zeros Solar. Not what I expected at all. Solar had such a strong run up until the finals. herO, I suppose, just had the longer strong run. And that's going to be it. GG. herO takes it 3-0, wins $250 at least. If you guys want to donate to the match arena, I believe we've used up all the codes. But if you want to add any more to these players, then please do so soon, as it will be closing in a couple of hours, basically. And then that's it for me on the cast. We'll be back tomorrow with the Corsair Cup. Hopefully Rifkin's going to be feeling better by then, but no guarantee. Don't mind solo casting, really. And tomorrow's a later day as well. But, yeah, I like to have him back. And, yeah. Follow the channel down below. Consider subscribing. Tier subs are out if you want to improve your subscription as well and get past the banned word list. Probably the most appealing part of it. Follow me on Twitter at ZG Gaming, on Twitch ZombieGrub, YouTube ZombieGrub, and Patreon ZombieGrub. I think that just about covers it. We'll be casting Corsair Cup tomorrow, and then we'll be covering the Take TV house party thingamajigger. And that will be quite the marathon cast. So look forward to that. Thanks for watching, everybody. You'll see you tomorrow.